Hey, I'm John. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Well, I'm here because I'm a licensed social worker, and I've been assigned to meet with you and hear about your goals and work through some plans to reach them. Thank you so much for being here, and before we begin, I want to make sure that we're clear about some things. First is that anything you say here will be kept private unless there is something that you tell me that will hurt you or others around you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, well, in order to work through different processes and different things, I want to hear a little bit about you to know about your possible solutions.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about you and your story.
I'm 34 years old. I work at a Walmart during the day, and then at night I'm working at a gas station. I'm a single parent. I got 2 kids. The judge said I had to be here if I didn't want to go to jail. So.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. It seems to me that you're only here to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, although I've heard the reasons why you have been referred, I would like to hear your story as well.
Where do I start? School system says I'm neglecting my kids because they don't go to school often enough. I'm a single parent. I got multiple jobs I'm working. Never home by the time my kids go to school. I only honestly see them for a couple hours in the late afternoon. I can't even pay for someone to come in and make sure they're going to school. For me, it's not even neglect. I'm honestly just trying to survive and keep food on the table for my kids. I do understand my kids need to go to school.
Wow, yeah, that seems to be very conflicting. Let me see if I'm understanding you. You are torn because while you want to take your kids to school, you have to work multiple jobs. But because you work multiple jobs, you can't be at home by the time your kids have to get in the bus.
Yeah.
You can't seem to find the balance between these two things.
Right. There's just a lot going on. I want to give my kids the best life, but it's just super hard just being a single parent and everything. And the school system doesn't really understand that everything I do is for my kids.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm forcing them to stay home.
Yeah, that's true. Well, your kids seem really important to you. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, I have a daughter. Her name's Sally.
Okay.
She's really smart. She really likes to dance. And basically do anything active. She doesn't enjoy school that much because she doesn't really sit around. She doesn't really enjoy sitting around for long periods of time. Also, she doesn't really know her mom. And whenever she's around other kids who talk about their moms, she gets really upset. I can't blame her for that. I got a son. His name's Parker. He's 12, and he's autistic. So there's a whole nother set of challenges that come with that. Sometimes the kids at school are just super cruel to him because he doesn't talk and act the same as them. But I think he's a really cool kid. He doesn't really like school. I don't blame him. He won't tell me this, but I don't think he has any friends at school. The 2 of my kids, they get along really well together and watch out for each other.
Yeah. Well, that's really great that your kids have a really good relationship and good support system between them too. And it sounds really hard that they get upset because their friends are making fun of them. Could you start telling me a little bit more about Sally's relationship with her mother, who you mentioned, or the lack of?
Her mom. Her mom's name was Julie. She was my wife, and the mother of both my kids. But a couple months after Sally was born, she died in a car accident. She was on life support for a few days after the wreck, and then she passed away. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That sounds very heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was left completely on my own with, nothing, everything at the same time. I mean, I had really no money, just the kids, obviously, and just a ton of bills and just emotions. It was just a huge shock, and I didn't ever really process what had happened. I didn't have a choice but to keep going on with everything in life.
Wow. Yeah, well, your emotions and your feelings are very valid. Do you have anyone in your life that you can lean on in this through these hard times?
Yeah. My parents have always been there for me, in the best way they know how. It's something, right? They were there for me in the first couple weeks after Julie passed away, just helping around the house. But after that, they went back home. They live a few hours away from here, and once they're gone, they just acted like everything was normal, and I was just alone.
Wow, I can imagine how difficult it must have been to be left with your emotions all to yourself. You know, death can be one of the hardest things in life that one can deal with. Do you still think about Julie often?
Yeah, basically every day. I loved her. She was a great mother and just a provider for the kids. She helped a lot with Parker and really took care of him. She was always there for him. When she was around, Parker was never left home alone, and the kids had a parent to take care of them all the time. Now that I've been alone for 7 years, I've tried to learn to do things on my own, but it's not working out very well, as you can see.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a very, very loving wife. She made sure that your kids were provided for, and she cared for them and you a lot. And what I've also heard is that you never had a chance to properly be sad about Julie's loss. And it's still difficult to go through all those feelings and still be the provider of the home that you have, and still do all the little things of an everyday life. Could you tell me a little bit more about the emotions you experience day to day?
I'm scared a lot. I never know if at the end of the month I'll have enough money to keep the lights on and food on the table. More than anything, I just want my kids to be safe. I also feel lonely most of the time. Like I love my kids, but I don't see them often. It's
Oh.
just,
Yeah, well, you're very, very brave. You've accomplished keeping this home together, paying your bills, caring for your kids. You're determined to make sure this family is safe and healthy. That's very strong of you, and you should be proud of yourself.
Thanks.
You know, you've shared a lot with me today, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm really confident that if we continue to share what you're going through, you will make great both your life and in your kids. I hope that you come back on Monday and we will begin to work on a plan so you don't feel so paralyzed in this situation. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.